And welcome to the May 11th council meeting. Members of the public were provided with the following methods to watch or participate in this open meeting. Attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. Attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. Submit written comments that have been provided to council and will form part of the public record. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect, that we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public with respect and understanding. Inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. Together, we can make this meeting a space where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that is disrespectful, aggressive, or intimidating, I'm going to say something I shouldn't say, so I'll carry on, will result in those individuals being asked to leave. I'd now like to call the meeting to order, please, and have approval of the agenda, Councilor Austin.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that council adopt the May 11, 2026 council meeting agenda is presented with the following addendum. And correspondence received for item 11.2.1, report number CAO 16-2026. Discussion, Water Regional Police Service CCTV camera installation with automated license plate readers in the Township of North Dumfries.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. I'd now like to do the Indigenous acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. But that's only words. It is our behavior, our attitude, that will make or break this coming together of the Indigenous and ourselves. And I think if we, I was raised that we gave respect first and people have to lose it. And I think we have to remember that we have to be open to willing to work with people. As I said, not all of them want to rob us or take our money or anything else. They just want to be respected. They want to be honored and ask for the respect that they need and to work with us. So let's stop and think about that. Thank you. Is there any disclosure peculiar interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none, adoption of the council minutes, please, Councilor Nolan.
Moved by myself and by Councilor Tilley that council approve the following meeting minutes. 6.1. Council meeting minutes dated April 27, 2026, and 6.2. The public planning council meeting minutes dated April 28, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Review presentations, okay. Request to lift items from the consent agenda. Seeing none, Councilor Tilley, you have possibly the longest motion of the night.
Easy one. Move by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that the following reports listed on May 11th, 2026 consent agenda be received and that recommendations contained therein be approved, and acted upon. 10.1.1, report number CLK 12-2026, authorization to attend a regional Waterloo all council meeting. 10.1.2, report number FD 05-2026 fire department incident response summary, April 2026, and that all the following information items as listed on May 11th, 2026 consent agenda be received. 10.2.1, communications correspondence received from Enbridge Gas Incorporated regarding the Enbridge Gas Spring 2026 municipalities newsletter. B, resolution received from Northumberland County regarding circular materials Ontario. C, resolution received from the city of Petersburg regarding guaranteed basic income. D, order made under the Municipal Act 2001 regarding the City of Cambridge, Township of North Dumfries and Regional Municipality of Waterloo. E, resolution received from the City of Waterloo regarding supporting a provincial deposit return program for non-alcoholic beverage containers. F, resolution received, they do well. Resolution received from the City of Waterloo regarding heritage helping housing. G, resolution received from the town of Halton Hills regarding request for review of provincial municipal fiscal framework. And H, correspondence received from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC, regarding MPAC's 2025 annual and performance report and financial statements. 10.2.2, advisory committees, A, Grand River Accessibility, thank you, Advisory Committee, GRAC, meeting minutes dated March 2026.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have 11.2, report number 11.2.1, report number serial 16/2026, discussion. Water Police, Regional Police Service, CCT, camera installation of automated license plate readers in the Township of North Dumfries. So any questions or comments from the public? Councilors, questions, comments? Council Austin.
In regard to the addendum,
Well, that's included with the CCTV. CCTV,
11, where we're at right now, 11.2.1, right?
yes,
Okay. So we had the email sent to us regarding the request to about the data and the pilot program, correct?
mhm.
So I guess we should discuss whether we want to stick with motion as is, or do we go with the request from the Water Region Police to not make it a pilot program. I mean, they're saying not making it a pilot program because that would limit them to expansion if they want to expand.
Could you clarify that, Steve, on the feeling?
Madam Mayor, the draft agreement that's been framed talks about a 1-year timeline. And if there is no issues, that it would be automatically renewed. It gives an opportunity for a period of up to 15 years of operation under the terms of the draft agreement. Any party, so in this case, North Dumfries or the Waterloo Region Tree Services Board would cancel with 60 days written notice served on the other party.
Councilor Austin.
So how would calling it, leaving it called a pilot program, how would that limit Waterloo Region Police as to expansion or diverse, making it? I guess expansion is expansion the issue?
Director Cassidy, speaking.
So Madam Mayor, staff inserted the word pilot project and put a return date to be coming before council on or before the September 15th, 2027. By then, the program will have been up and operating for approximately a year, depending upon when the cameras are installed. And there would be the ability to assess information collected through the program. The aspect of a reference to the pilot project in the September 15th, 2027 timeline would require a touch point with Township Council or the future term of Township Council on any successes, issues arising from the first year and potentially upon what comes out of it, either further content to be added to the agreement and or modifications, or potentially a rollover of the agreement as contemplated if there are no issues or concerns.
So staff, like on point number one, I'm still on point number one. So in staff's opinion, leaving it a pilot project makes no difference to the Water Region Police. Like, I don't understand why not call it a pilot. Like, it is a pilot program. But is it staff's opinion that it could limit the Waterloo Regional Police in their either placements of cameras or expansion or whatever?
The agreement is drafted and it's identified in the report, allows for the expansion or installation of additional cameras. I don't know at this point in time if within the first year, there'll be additional cameras installed in North Dumfries. There are so many that were available in this round of funding. Obviously, it would be somewhat dependent upon how many municipalities participate in the program. And then the balance is driven by data in terms of, allocating those finite resources to areas where there have been observed through data collection over the last 3 years, either public disturbances and or high incidence of crime. The way the staff report has been framed, it would then require a touch point formally with the next term of council on or before September the 15th, 2027.
Councillor Ross.
Okay, so then going to point two with the data. The request was to remove that reporting to Township Council. And because their intentions are to share it with municipalities anyway. How does that differ? I don't understand if either way it says they're going to communicate with us, so is there a difference of that being in there, or I don't understand why take it out if it means the same thing.
So normally presentations occur between senior management at Waterloo Regional Police Service and the Police Services Board, because that's their reporting mechanism. The way this staff report is framed and what would be then incorporated into the North Dumfries Waterloo Regional Police Services agreement brings information back to Township Council, so the Township Council can decide whether or not going forward the program makes sense in its present form, whether items have to be added or deleted to the program going forward. And obviously, under the first year of data that's collected, there may be new opportunities that we're not even aware of today that could be then framed into that agreement going forward.
Councillor Ross.
So then my last question would be the request from WRPS. I guess staff is of the opinion that it's not going to affect this the way it is, whether it's like there's no need to change this the way it's motion's written.
So, Madam Mayor, through the Councillor Foster, it'd probably be more appropriate to ask that question of Deputy Chief Davis,
And that's what I was going to call.
who framed the addendum to Township Council. From staff's perspective, it was to structure reporting back to Township Council with a time frame and to share events, knowledge, data that came out of the first year of operation that might then inform next steps. Which is to proceed in partnership with WRPS, specific to the CCTV/ALPR program.
Officer Davis, do you and we will have this, so now we will include the officer in the CEO and the committee council.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you for the question, Councillor Oster. Our concern when we read the report was the fact that we base all of the locations for the cameras on 3 years of historical data around reported crime severity, citizen-generated calls. So during the pilot period, depending on if crime trends are changing, we would like to know that there is the flexibility to, if we needed to, remove that camera from its location and move it to a more appropriate location based on the crime trends. There was some concern that if it's listed as a pilot, we were restricted a little bit in our ability to actually do that. and also to add additional cameras. So under the pilot, we've really said that there's one camera location if we stick with the pilot, whereas what we're already hoping is that that camera was slated for 2025 installation, and we have the ability to expand for 2026 as well with additional locations. So that was our concern, that it potentially restricted the ability to do that.
So if I may interject, what we're both saying is we want communication with you. That's all we're saying. So if we can add into this motion a method of communication, then we could possibly eliminate the pilot project, if we could be clear. And I mean, I don't think your numbers are going to be extremely high in the first year because people are going to be aware. I think your second and third year, when they start to be complacent or we are advertising quite as much, that will be a higher data number. But that's me being totally ignorant and knowing nothing about it. So would you be willing to allow us to do wording where you do constantly keep us updated, either you annually or whatever?
Our intent, yes, Mayor, thank you. Our intention has always been to report quarterly, basically on usage of the cameras to the Police Services Board. Then what we actually hope to do with that report is to actually be able to break it down by the different townships and municipalities to show the usage or how many times we've actually use that camera to access evidence or video to advance an investigation. So that was the intention all along, is that through that board report, it would actually be broken down by municipality or township. Additionally, any new camera locations, we would want to let you know that there is a new camera location going up. That's also put on our website. So we would want you to be aware of that as well in advance of that happening and in advance of it going up on our website. So every intention to ensure that there is full transparency and ongoing communication with the township.
So right now, David sends out reports constantly about what's happening in the groceries. I'm sure them if they are used so that we can share them with the public. So David, I would hope a similar report regarding the cameras would come as well, that we could also share. I think we're getting there. Councillor Tilley, and then Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. And actually, it's a comment slash a question. In the report that I saw, it says in point 4, a one-year term that automatically renews up to a maximum 15-year period. Either party's agreement. So I from that, it continues for a little bit there. My understanding is that as it's understood that the agreement with the W2PRS is to have a relationship where the first CCTV camera is able to work functionally, and if it works well. I didn't really see that part. I thank for the clarification. Is there an undetermined amount? So let's just say through the WPS that is desired to have 4 or 5 cameras added. Is that the concern that's being stated, or is it the fact that there's still an agreement between North Dumfries and the WPRS? So that's where I'm getting a little bit hazy.
Yeah.
So, Mayor, if I could direct council to page 104 of your online agenda. At the top of what is page 4 associated with reports, so page 104 on your screen. And I'm going to read it as presented. Currently, the WRPS has identified Northumberland Street in proximity to Alps Road as a candidate site within North Dumfries for the installation of the CCTV ALPR camera. Future locations will be determined based upon data collected by the WRPS associated with areas of increased crime and disorder, incidents or similar circumstances. So there's nothing that limits how many cameras or where the fullness of time they may be installed. We know that today there will likely be a camera installed on Northumberland Street in proximity to Alps Road. What the future brings is obviously dependent on a whole bunch of different factors, including availability cameras and demonstrated need given priorities across all of Waterloo region for those municipalities that are participating in the program.
Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I have one question with regards to the reporting. So right now the reporting, I believe, goes to the mayor, it does not go to the council, is that,
Oh, I get a report from the police all the time, which I hand to the Air News to give to the public. It
Right.
just lists the incidents, but you get that in the Air News, so. And it's
Okay.
also online. I've just requested that of,
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so and the other comment that I had was around the pilot project. Regardless of whatever we want to call it, I do see value in having this come back to council for next term's council in about a year. Whether it's a report and there's a time set to just kind of consider how well it's working within our Dumfries, so. If the concern is with pilot project, I want it to be a report or a further report subject to further whatever. That I'm not too concerned about, but I do think it would be good for us to have a look at it and actually take the time in a council to think about it.
Councillor Tilly, then Councillor Rowland.
Sorry, thanks. It was just in response back to the response that CEO McNeely gave. In the way that it seems then, and I can appreciate the concern that the verbiage that's written, but it seems like it might be already kind of entailed that the growth is potential, it's just whether or not it's gonna get canceled. Is that the concern of WPS? Is that the potential may stop or that we may cancel, or as council that it may be canceled? Is that the concern that was written in the addendum?
For you, Mayor, no, that's not the concern, because there is also language in there that either party could cancel within 60 days, so that already exists, and I think that's really where we're saying, do we need to reference it as a pilot project, knowing that you have the ability to cancel within 60 days if you so chose to, and that it would just renew yearly on a yearly basis. So if it's about reporting, I can appreciate the comments that were made by Councillor Wilms on reporting back and ensuring that you're getting feedback on it. And from our standpoint, based on the conversation that's even being discussed, it doesn't appear that there's the same concerns around potential growth with additional cameras. And I think that's our biggest concern, is we know we'll have ability to grow the program in North Dumfries Townships this year, and we don't want to see that be delayed if we're constrained by a pilot.
Councillor Rowland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I agree with Councillor Williams. I think whether we call it a pilot project or not, that's just semantics. I mean, we call it the introductory period, whatever you want to call it. But I agree that there should be some consideration by council on September 15th of 2027 to see how this process is unfolding. And I think it's reasonable that we ask for the data to come to us as opposed to having to go through the Police Services Board. One thing we always have advocated on this council is to have more representation by the police, have more discussion, have the police come here more often, tell us what's going on in our community. So why do we want to turn our backs on that now when we've been pushing for that? We literally have a document that says we're going to ask them to bring that data to us and not go through the Police Services Board. So I think we should stay true to what we've always been advocating for. Let's push forward with the motion the way it's written. I don't mind changing pilot project to some other phrase, but essentially the first year is a pilot project. So it's just semantics.
Councillor Austin. I don't think we have to do that unless, can anybody not hear us?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Basically, I don't care how we call it, as long as T's are dotted, T's are crossed, everything is, it's done right. I just don't want to limit the police service when they have enough to do. I just want them to be able to, if they've got to move cameras, add cameras, do this, do that, the other thing, that they have free will to do that.
I don't know if they have that free will to do it. Do they have free will to do it?
Well, we're talking about expanding
They
possibly
have-
4 or 5 cameras, so
They
they would
have to
go in.
come forward. CEO McNeil.
So Madam Mayor, just to clarify, if council adopts the agreement or the context of the agreement as framed in this report, WRPS would have the ability to install cameras, CCTV cameras, on township poles or infrastructure. The region, I believe last week, also consented to allow for the WRPS to install CCTV cameras on regional poles or infrastructure. So there would be the ability under this. We know that the initial site is somewhere on the Northumberland corridor in proximity to Elks Road. There may be other venues somewhere else in the township on a regional road or a local road where CCTV, ALRP, and LPR cameras may be installed.
Councillor Austin.
So that was my question. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't have to go through the amendment process or be presented to council again. Can we put the cameras at, Trustler Road, or can we put the cameras at Gladstone, or can we put the cameras on Wrigley Road? Like,
Every time a camera is added to the inventory in North Dumfries, it does not trigger an amendment.
Okay.
The location of future camera locations will be determined by the WRPS based on their data related to occurrences or clustering of occurrences and or public disorder or similar circumstances.
Do you know what I'd like to almost see is when you report after a year or whatever, you put in the data of crimes that you were called about in North Dumfries before the camera. And then we see if there's coming down of it or if you're catching more. So we actually can see a difference because it got out of hand in the last year or so. And I think that would be a great stat to have. Councilor Austin, you have your hand up again?
sorry,
Did you have your hand up again?
I think so. But I think my questions were answered. I just want to make sure that, we're not binding the police service to, okay, we can only can't have you come at this meeting at this month because that's when we have time to see you before you can do the cameras. CEO McNeely answered the question. And as for the data, I mean, I agree with the counselors that I want to see that presented to council. Other than that, as long as they're
So,
clear, they can do what they need to do and.
CEO McNeil,
So Madam Mayor, if the concern is the term pilot project,
yes,
council can strike the reference to pilot project out of recommendation to subroom number 1 and just say the program will be subject to further review.
okay,
And leave the date of September 5th, on or before September 15th, 2027.
see, I want this to be our partnership between the police and ourselves. And I think we've got a good relationship with the police right now. And so I want open communication by both parties, and I think that's what this is attempting to do. So if we're okay with calling it the program, no problems, then Councilor Rose, you have the motion, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Council Author, that CAO report 16-2026 be received. That council authorize the execution of an agreement with the Waterloo Regional Police Service, WRPS, to facilitate the installation of closed circuit television camera, CCTV, with automated license plate recognition, ALPR technology, within the township of North Dumfries, and where applicable on township-owned utility poles or infrastructure, subject to the following conditions. A, the program will be subject to further review and consideration by Township Council on or before September 15th, 2027. 2, data to be provided by the WRPS on the use and metrics of a CCTV or ALPR program within North Dumfries and from across Waterloo region in the first year of the launch of the program. And 3, that the utilization of facial recognition technology or similar use will not be undertaken within the township of North Dumfries without the further written approval of Township Council, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with the Waterloo Regional Police Service to implement as a pilot project, as a project,
Yes,
as a program.
program,
To implement as a program, the installation and operation of a CCTV ALPR program within North Dumfries, subject to any minor revisions as required by either the Chief Administrative Officer and or Township Legal Counsel.
all those in favor? Mary, thank you. You can stay the rest of the evening. But you can also read it minutes. Have a good night. 11.2.2, report number rec 03/2026, Kiwanis Club, North Dumfries, Rubber Duck Race. Is that annual again? Am I gonna miss it because we're at annual? I bought my tickets last year too big for my grandkids. I think it's annual. Yes, it's annual. Now, when's the race? The 15th, on the Friday, or Eagles on the 16th.
Saturday.
On Saturday, Amo starts on Sunday.
Saturday. Oh, wait, okay. Anyways, all right, okay, the motion, any questions or comments? Motion, please, Councilor Williams.
Moved by myself and by Council Tilly that record report number 03/2026 be received. And that bylaw 3641-26 being a bylaw to temporarily close the following streets to accommodate Kiwanis Club North Dumfries Rubber Duck Race on Saturday, August 15th, 2026 be enacted. 1. Stanley Street from Northumberland Street to Piper Street for the hour of 12 noon to 1 p.m. 2. Piper Street from Stanley Street to 29 Piper Street for the hours 12 noon to 1 p.m. And 3. Tannery Street between Stanley Street and Tannery Street for the hours of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. All right, next is 11.2.3, report number rec 09/2026, contract award request for proposal, North Dumfries 2026 E3 RFP for design/construction pump track facilities. Any questions from the public? All right, councilors, any questions or comments? I'd just like to know that staff took a lot of flack because they were basically told they were holding back the RFP, which they weren't. And this is going to go at exactly the time it said it was going to, or probably a week or so earlier. So we were not in trouble at all. The price is great. Councilor Ashton.
I just wanted to add that, yeah, I'm impressed with, everything that I've seen with the RFP and that, and, I'm glad it's moving forward and we can put all the other stuff behind us and move forward and have a nice pump track.
And thank you, CEO McNally, because you took a lot of flack, but you held your ground and did a good job. Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Ashton?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that rec report number 09/2026 be received and the council award the request for proposal ND 2026-E3 RFP for the design construction of the pump track facility in the amount of $492,709.71 plus HFD to the Canadian Ramp Company. And an allowance of $67,370 be established for the purposes of the purchase of site furniture, signage, professional services, landscaping, and project contingency. And that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all documents and agreements necessary to facilitate this work.
I hope that I didn't jinx it by saying it's going to be on time and now we'll have rain for 40 days. All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Next is report number clerk 13/2026, establishing the accessibility advisory committee. Any questions from the public? Councilors, questions? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please, Councilor Tilly?
Excuse me. Move by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that CLK report number 13/2026 be received. And that council advise the city of Kitchener that the township would like to recognize an affiliated municipality under the city's newly established terms of reference for their accessibility advisory committee effective the new term of council commencing on November 15th, 2026, and that council direct staff to provide notice to the Grand River Accessibility Advisory Committee, GRAC, of the township's intention to leave GRAC to pursue affiliated municipality status with the city of Kitchener effective the new term of council commencing November 15th, 2026.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. And next one is report number CAO 14/2026, former East River Road allows disposition and sale of township land holding to property owners of 1425 and 1505 Director Highway. Any questions from the public? We waited a long time for this. Okay, any questions from council? Council Williams, you have the second longest motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that CAO report number 14-2026 be received. And that council declare the forward East River Road allowance described as parts 1, 2, and 4, Plan 58R-22460, and parts 1 and 2, Plan 58R-22498 as surplus for municipal purposes. And that council authorized the sale of the surplus lands associated with parts 1 and 2 and 4, Plan 58R-22460, and part 1, Plan 58R-22498, in the amount of $14,770.72, plus any applicable taxes to the owner of 1425 Brantford Highway, estate of Marianne Lomanuik, to have the effect of creating one integrated property and title. 4, and that council authorized the sale of the surplus lands associated with part 2, Plan 58R-22498, in the amount of $14,763.65, plus any applicable taxes to the owner of 1505 Brantford Highway, Genevieve Kennedy, to have the effect of creating one integrated property and title. And that mayor and clerk be authorized to execute an agreement of purchase and sale and the implementing land transfer documents on behalf of the township with the respective owners of 1425 and 1505 Brantford Highway to facilitate the respective land sales summarized in recommendations 3 and 4 above, to the satisfaction of the chief administrative officer and the township legal counsel, and that the proceeds arising from the sale of the surplus lands be applied to the land sales reserve account.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is 11.2.6, report number CAO 15-2026. Consideration of township delegations, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, 2026 conference. Any questions, councilors? Good, okay, can I have the motion, please, Councilor Austin? Very good.
All right, for you guys then. Moved by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that CAO report number 15-2026 be received. Staff be directed to submit delegation requests with the provincial government at the 2026 AMO conference on behalf of the township as follows. 1, Ministry of Natural Resources consideration of a comprehensive review and engagement on the Aggregate Resources Act and associated development review approval processes. 2, Ministry of Natural Resources consideration of establishing a minimum separation distance between licensed aggregate operations and urban rural settlement areas. 3, Ministry of Natural Resources enhanced rehabilitation standards for aggregate sites. 4, Ministry of Natural Resources licensed aggregate sites and the need for new licensed sites in the greater Golden Horseshoe area. Ministry of Transportation update and next steps, Highway 24, Brantford Highway study, McQueen Shaver Boulevard to Footbridge Road. 6, Ministry of Finance, municipal priorities for consideration in 2027-28 provincial budget. And 7, Ministry of Finance grant stream for bridge structure rehabilitation and renewal.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. There's no correspondence, Mayor 12.2. I guess you know that I'm not late. It's been a great ride. I've had a lot of fun. I met a lot of amazing people. Kelsey too.
Thank you, say thank you. I want to say thank you on behalf of myself and everybody else around, but I want to say thank you for being a great mentor. And I think I put a little bit of pressure on you in the beginning to stick around, and I'm glad you made a good choice for yourself and your family to do what you do. But I'm sorry to interrupt what you're saying, but I just want to say thank you as myself for what you've done. And the amount of people I've talked to as I've been going around talking to the neighbors and everything right now, they're very aware, they're very happy for you. They're also very sad. So it's pretty amazing, and I thank you.
Council just always have people at heart, but use common sense. Sometimes when you try and follow the people's directions, it doesn't work out what's best for the township. So you're wearing double hats, you're being the people's representative, but you're serving your township to strengthen your township. We've got a great staff. I want you to appreciate them. I want you to really enjoy them because they have taken us, well, you two gentlemen know what we were like when we started. And look where we are now. If you had thought 14 years ago, when we first started on that council, that we would be where we are today, that we would have a twin pad, a second pad, and we feel like redoing of the ACC, the updates of the parks all through the township. We've done great because it's not one person, it's all of us. And then it's not just us, it's the community and it's the staff that do the labor. Their job isn't to provide us with reports that make us happy. Their job is to write the letter of the law as written by our procedural bylaw and also our official plan. It is our job to say, okay, it's written that way, but in this situation, we'd like to make it a little bit different. We'd like to tweak it. That's our job, not theirs. We can never, ever go after them for a report they wrote. It's more important that we listen to all sides and come up with the best decision together. You have had some of the best debates I've ever heard in my whole 27 years. You have been respectful 99.9% of the time. You have brought, in the speech that I say, we listen to other people that you don't agree with because you expand our minds. And we don't improve until somebody says, hey, look at it this way. So I wish you all the best. I hope you're all going to get in whatever position you so choose. And staff, you've been amazing. I've been really, really blessed to be worked with you. And I thank you so much. And can I have the motion, please, Councilor Nolan?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that the announcement from Mayor Sue Foxton regarding her upcoming retirement be received and that Mayor Foxton be congratulated and thanked for her 27 years of public service and support of the township and its residents.
It's like I get to say something in my eulogy.
This is the next step.
Anybody opposed to this? or-
Councilor. Scary, right? Okay.
Good.
12.2, salary remuneration for the 2026 to 2030 term of council members. Council, first thing I'm going to ask you is, do you want to do this? Do you think we should do this? Council,
So I can kind of understand why we want to look at this. At the same time, I feel quite a bit of some sort of reluctance. To be honest, I feel when I look at the amount I make and I think about, the amount of hours that I work, and I feel currently that I'm compensated fairly. So I don't want this to be hey, well, so-and-so makes more in Wilmot, therefore I want to make more too. At the same time, I'm not sure how everybody else feels, but I'm very torn about this one because I do think we are renewing. I don't know. I find it quite hard.
Councilor Tilly.
Madam Mayor, I appreciate the fact that you brought this forward, and I would just like to give you the opportunity to, you have a concept there. I'd just like to hear if it's anything off the cuff you'd like to mention about it as well, because Councilor Williams did mention something there, but I think you may have maybe something to add to that.
There's two ways you can look at this. So I've watched a lot of the ones done in the last year. It's quite interesting. Cambridge Council, who councillors make more than I make in Cambridge, as mayor. Their person they hired was really quite fabulous in saying, they were saying that they deserved more pay because they went to all these events, they went to all these extra meetings and these open houses and everything else. And the arbitrator said, that's your choice. You could have chose not to and make the same amount. So how do you monitor that? Now, I know that there's one council I've seen lately put their name down to every event and have never shown up to any. So how do you monitor it? So, Is it something you leave till the new council gets in? What do you think? But this is open for discussion. What's your thought, folks? We have had just a regular pay raise every year, correct? CAO and I can't think of the time that we've done it.
So, Madam Mayor, the past practice of this current term of council, so the last 4 years, as part of the annual budget deliberations, council has taken a cost of living adjustment that's been reflective of what's been paid to the non-union person.
Council Roman, Mayor today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just think it's worthwhile to do the analysis to the comparisons. I know of some other municipalities where their councils are very underpaid, and as a result, they can't get anybody to run. So there's always that issue too, right? I mean, here we're not in that situation, but I know of some councilors, when I talk to them at AMO and that, they're making less than $15,000 a year, and they literally can't get anybody in the community to run. So I think we should be aware of what the market is basically like, and I'm not suggesting that we're underpaid necessarily, but I'm just saying we need to do the comparison, I think.
Council Williams.
The one item that does, where I see value in this report particularly is in the mayor's compensation.
Okay, and you can say that, but I make the mayor's compensation, I
Yeah.
get the regional compensation.
So that, I was just gonna say that. So there's,
Yes,
yeah,
when Jan Liggett at Cambridge Council went, they said, because of all your other pays, you should not get an increase. Okay, so you can't really make, otherwise, it sort of just pisses me off as a councilor, but you have to consider the whole picture.
Yeah.
of being a mayor and what you get. So, yeah, I just, Council Tilly.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I just want to show my appreciation for what you do. I don't think anybody misunderstands your commitment to the community, but I also don't think everybody understands the amount you attend and the amount you do and the amount you're part of and the social commitments you make to be part, and it's not social, it's the social of the community you choose to be part of to connect yourself to the community. And I think that's a huge part of the mayor's commitment to be part of the community, is to represent the community by being there. And I've always said this about you, is that you've done a fantastic job, and that many times I think that was not done before yourself. And so I want to say that yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying about the fact that there's compensation for the roles that are taken on for the region, but also that what the time spent in North Dumfries is just as important or more important, because that's who you're also representing primarily. So I think you're right about that, and I think that goes along. I'm going to agree with Councilor Rowland's statement there, that it'd be good to see what others are compensated for, something that maybe we're not aware of. Because and don't get me wrong, staff has done a great job giving us reports and understanding, but this comparison may enlighten us a bit. So I'm sitting with Councilor Rowland as well.
Councilor Austin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We also have to remember that you're the first mayor in recent memory who made this their full-time job. So that's something else to consider. Do we look at, and I'm not just focusing strictly on, like I say, I'm focusing strictly on the mayor's role, right, in this comment. Yeah, you can get somebody that runs for mayor and uses as a supplemental income, and goes on the mandatory committees that they have to go on. But I'd rather see a mayor like Mayor Foxton that chooses that job as their job. Now, the only problem I have, the only question I have is, should the mayor be, like, I'll just stick with the mayor, and then I just want to make a quick comment about Councilor Wilson. Should the mayor be properly compensated so that in order to make a living, you don't have to join all the other, like, it's hard. It's hard. Like how much time, I don't know how much time. I just know that Mayor Fox is out doing things all the time. And I don't think it's fair if you look at it at a 24/7 job, because get back to getting about $4 an hour. Because it's one thing to say, oh, so-and-so made this much money. But when you look at when they're available, and people say, oh, well, you know, what do you do here and what do you do there? Well, you know, I'll phone you at 10 o'clock at night when I'm still at regional council. I'll phone you when you're going to bed when I'm still at regional, or I'm still doing this, still doing that. So there's a lot of hours that the mayor puts in. And if you look at, you know, the mileage, I'm sure you'll see a lot more mileage.
And that's another, I don't trust the township.
And then the second part of it, just to finish out what Councilor Roman said, I think that we need to look at this and do the report and see, because there are times where there's a lot of work, there's times when there's not as much work, but it does affect us during our job, our daytime jobs, because this is just, you know, being a counselor is a part-time job. It's not a full-time job. So I think that we need to look at how the whole structure is done, rather than just following what they've done the year before and the year before and the year before. Because that's what it is. It's we're making meatloaf every year. We're not looking at why we're fitting it into a section. We need to look at what's correct for everybody involved. I certainly don't want to be making a silly wage just because I'm a counselor. I don't need that, but the report will tell us where we are and where we should be, or we're fine. Yeah, you know, I think we do this on a staff level on a regular basis, so why wouldn't we do it for council? And the other thing is, yeah, you know, like we don't, as counselors, don't have any omers or anything like that. Yeah, you know, that's another thing that just is not included in the wage. So, you know, I think we just need it looked at. And if it comes status quo, it comes status quo.
Now, Councillor Austin, under the spot, the way things are set up, I have to sit at regional council. I have to sit on GRC. Swift was my choice, Southwestern Ontario. So that, those three alone brings you to a decent full-time wage. If you ever became a single tier, your mayor would have to do a phenomenal amount, because the things at the region, your mayor would have to be getting up. So at that time, you have to look at that. Flack has basically said he's given the region 2 years, and then actually he hasn't given these, he's giving the mayors 2 years to decide. All the mayors got together and told Flack what they wanted to do, and he said, okay, he's given all of us, I wanted 2 years. In 2 years, you will decide whether what will happen, like how the region will change. It will not ever go away. Trust the road, and it will never become one municipality, because too many people, too many municipalities. So will have to be some type of board that looks at where we share services and how to pay for those services, each of us individually, to cover the cost of a trust bill and things like that. Commutables, we'll have to look at those things. Should the low R region come about? But that's not what this is about. At this time, is to look at those salaries. Does anyone want to, what's the motion here? So it says staff be directed to undertake an environmentally scan of adjacent comparative municipalities on the wage structure existing and proposed for the office of mayor and council, and that any adjustment to wage structure paid to members of council would be applicable to the next term of council, which commences on November 15, 2026. And that staff return to a future council meeting with a report on the results and analysis arising from this environmental scan. One final wrench I want to throw into this. Do we look at a benefit package for councils?
Sorry, did you say, do we look?
Do we look at a benefit package for councils?
Not being in the report. Sorry.
So since most of us, this is the part-time job and we have benefits with our other job, it's not as
Some
big
of
an
them
issue.
don't, some of these don't.
No, but so, no, I'm saying most of, a lot of us do. For me, the benefits package should be part, Maybe we could look at, but I think it would be specifically focused more on mayors than rest.
Mayors are covered under the region.
Oh, okay.
So the mayor's got it covered under the region.
Okay.
So what do you
That's
think?
something you brought up, correct, Madam Mayor?
Well, I'm
Sorry.
asking you. whether-
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm just trying, there's a lot of good speaking, so I'm just trying to clarify. You brought that up. I personally, I, as a part-time job, generally benefits aren't offered to part-time people. And so I'm okay with that aspect of it, but that's again, being a part-time position. I love what Councillor Oscar said, whether or not we decide as a council at this point, whether or not the mayor's position is a full-time position or a part-time position. I think that was a very valid point that Councillor Oscar brought up.
Councillor Austin?
We also can't forget that we're the board of a corporation. So, you know, I don't suggest that we get paid like we're, you know, corporate moguls or anything like that. But if in future elections, you want to get quality counselors, you know, a lot of people aren't going to step into a position where and do an awful crackerjack job. If they don't feel that they're getting compensated for the time that they're working.
So,
A part-time job on a corporation is a little different than a part-time job on a line. You know, like I work 24 hours a week holding the sign up when, you know, when they're doing construction. Yeah, I understand that, but we're running the corporation in North Dumfries. We're a corporation, we're
so,
professional.
so just off the cuff, leave the benefits out. Just look at the salary comparison, that's what the motion says.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Or let the
motion,
study decide,
pardon me,
let the study do
Yeah. Councillor Taylor, the motion please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Oscar, that staff be directed to undertake an environmental scan of the adjacent comparator municipalities on the wage structure existing and proposed for the office of the mayor and the councillors. And that any adjustment to the wage structure paid to members of council would be applicable to the next term of council, which commences on November 15th, 2026. And that staff return to future council meeting with a report on the results and analysis arising from the environmental scan.
All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. Okay, there's no complaint, bylaws. Councillor Dumfries.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that the following bylaws be read first and second time. So we got one, bylaw number 3641-26, being a bylaw to temporarily close certain streets on Saturday, August 15th, 2026, to accommodate Kiwanis rubber duck race and associated activities in downtown air, and sent it out to bylaw number 3642-26, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on May 11, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, and third reading of bylaws of fire, we can talk to Russell, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Roman, that bylaws numbers 3641-26 and 3642-26 be read a third and final time and signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And the adjournment, Councillor Lava, I'm gonna be so.
Moved by myself and by Councillor Oscar, that whereas business before this council meeting has been completed at 6:58. Yeah, be resolved, we adjourn.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you, councillors.